Hi, welcome to Amen Acres Homestead. It is apple butter making time. We wanted to invite you along with us to make apple butter. We're going to start by peeling. We're going to bring you along with us. Can you believe it's already almost Thanksgiving time?
Yeah. Going to try to make some apple cider vinegar out of the skins.
Yeah, rather than wasting it. There's no point in wasting stuff. Natural is better anyway. I think that's about all I'm going to get off there. Yeah, that ought to make a good batch of apple cider vinegar. Hand me an apple and I hope you peel it.
Oh, I'm going to use these for eating later.
Okay. Okay. Don't let me take your eaten apple. Okay, for this part, we're going to add the ingredients to make the apple butter. So we've already done the 5 pounds of apples. We're going to dump this in our... Wes and I like to use a turkey roaster. It calls for a crock pot. Last year we made either double or quadruple the amount and gave it away for gifts for Christmas. Then we need 1 cup of packed level brown sugar, 1 tablespoon of cinnamon, and the recipe calls for nutmeg and cloves. We like using this pumpkin pie spice, so we have got 1/2 teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice. And now we're going to plug it up. Plug it up. Turn it on and stir it. What temperature do we put it on?
Low.
Low?
It was 200 or something like that.
So it has to cook down for 5 hours. And we're not going to make you stay here with us for 5 hours, but we're going to come back and check in with you from time to time and let you see this. It's really cool.
Get all the apples covered.
Mix them up real good so we get that wonderful flavor in there.
So it's already getting a little...
Yeah, they look wonderful. I'm going to move you over here. Sorry for the ride. That's what it looks like when all the spices are mixed on the apples and it's ready to start cooking. We'll bring you back in a little while and show you the next stage.
So, keep from wasting anything, and since we don't have a way of composting right here, right now, what we're going to do is take the peelings and the cores and make apple cider vinegar. This will be our first time at trying this, so you get to go along with us and try this. What they say to do is you put whatever your container is. Ours is 1/2 gallon jars, about halfway full. Then you used either unchlorinated water, which if you lived out in the country, you got unchlorinated water. But I'm using some distilled water, and then you use cane sugar. And you'll use a cup to a full gallon. Since these are both 1/2 gallons, I'm going to put 1/2 cup of sugar in each one. The apple cider vinegar is one of the best for your health. It's supposed to help your digestive systems. I've read things that they say it helps with regulating blood sugars. It's supposed to help regulate weight loss. Set this over the way. Then I'll just take the water, distilled water, and I'm going to fill it up. So as to stir it up real well. I'm not very good at stirring, so I shake it. Now as these sit and ferment, they will build gas up, so you don't want to use the lid. They recommend you use something like a tea towel or even an old pillowcase, something that's pretty fine but allows the air escape but doesn't allow stuff like fruit flies or anything like that to come in. We'll just take it, lay this over it, and take a string and tie it on there. Alright, and we're just going to put this tea towel on there, and I'm going to put, actually my wife's going to put one on this one here in a second. And you just let it set for 2 weeks, and this first 2 weeks you'll want to stir this every day and kind of push around and rotate those apple pieces, it says. And it'll look kind of cloudy and it'll have bubbles. That's part of the fermentation. It's best to keep it in 70 to 75 degree temperature areas, kind of dark, not sitting right out in the sun. And then after the 2 weeks, you take and you strain it, pull all these pieces out, and then you put it back in and let it set for a month, or it said month or a little longer. And you just kind of taste it as it gets to that point. And you know how apple cider vinegar has that kind of a twang taste, is what we're going to go by. So I hope you enjoyed this part of it, and hope that you will think about that next time you try to make an apple pie or anything. You can keep these things and make your own apple cider vinegar and not buy it. You can go buy it at a store like we did. This bottle here was like $4 or $5. Normally they're $7, $8 when you see the organic stuff. Another thing that they suggested you can do, which I might end up doing, but haven't decided, you can take and put just a little bit of this in there to help get it started. That's where you want them, where they just smash real easy. That's when you know your apples are done and ready. And cool them off and blend them up.
Okay, this is day 2. We're getting ready to finish up our apple butter. We just got too tired last night and went to bed after it was done. So we put this in the refrigerator overnight, and now we're going to puree it. And then we're going to put it in the jars. We're going to put it in the canning jars, and we're going to can it on the stove in our water bath canner.
My wife just loves that Ninja blender.
I do like my toys. We're going to pull this out of there. Let's get that off the blending tool. Okay. I'm going to toss that in the sink real quick.
Now's the fun parts, guys.
Come over here.
Taste it.
Does it taste good?
Oh yeah.
Well, that seasoning is really good. I I washed the jars. You always want to wash them before you use them, even though they can them. You just want to be sure that there's nothing in there that wouldn't be good. It's a little bit thick.
Yeah, if you want it thinner or thicker, you know, you can always
adjust it.
If you just want it a little thinner, you just kind of make sure you put a little water in while you're cooking it, or if you want it even thicker, you just kind of cook it a little longer where it thickens up without a lid on it.
Okay, so I like it thicker, so we're going to do it that way. Okay, so now you wipe off the lid with a clean rag so that you make sure that it seals properly. So if you don't do that, it may not seal, and then you'll not be able to give it away or whatever. Okay, so now this ring represents measurements. That's about 1 inch from the top right here, and that's about a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to fill it up to there, and then put the lid on it and put it in the oil. You got to put it on there right, for one thing. Put your fresh, clean lid and ring on it. Just finger tight. You don't want to over tighten this because it's not necessary. Now, take this. Whoops. And just drop it down in the water bath canner. It needs to be about 1 inch over, so I'm going to have to add just a little bit more water. Now, as we put it in the refrigerator last night, I'm going to warm everything up slowly so that I warm the contents up and it doesn't cause the jars to explode. Normally we would have done this right after, so we wouldn't be having these issues. But as we were tired and we went to bed last night, now we've got to do it a little bit differently. It smells wonderful.
Now I gotta talk my wife into making a loaf of bread so we can try it out.
No, we will. We'll make a loaf of bread here in a little bit. So, full disclosure, it made 3 pints of apple butter out of 5 pounds of apples. You can use the smaller ones. You can use the jelly jars and get 5 jelly jars full and give it away for gifts. But this year it's for our use. Plus, we had this much left over for our own personal use, which we're going to put in the refrigerator. We love apple butter. You want to tell them about the Granny Smith apples?
Yeah, this year we used Granny Smith apples. We kind of wanted to try something different, and wasn't for sure how it was going to taste, but I really like the taste because it still has the little bit of the tartness that you get out of a Granny Smith, but you still have sugar, the sweetness, and the cinnamon, all the spices. And it did, I believe, change the color. It's a little lighter than normal apple butter, but it also get darker as it sets, like last year it did on us. So
if you want to make it your own, you decide to make this apple butter, the kind of apple that you choose will make it taste a little bit. The Red Delicious makes it really sweet. The Granny Smith makes it tart sweet. And then, you know, according to whatever kind of apples you want to use, it'll make it different. So we're going to turn this on low. I already have. I've got it setting on low, and let this warm up slowly because we had it in the refrigerator overnight. Normally, if you make the apple butter and you can it immediately, it's not an issue. You can get the water boiling and set it in there. You would heat up the jars first in there, and then put your apple butter in the hot jars, and then put the hot jars back in on boiling so that your glass doesn't break. But as we did it in the fridge last night, we're going to warm everything up very slowly and then bring it to a boil. When it's boiling and it's ready, we'll bring you back and show you the process. This is what it looks like when it's boiling. We have very slowly brought the temperature up because we had them in the fridge overnight. I let them warm up for about an hour, and we are now to the point where I'm going to turn it up a little bit and put the lid on, and it will boil for 20 minutes at a full rolling boil, and then we'll turn it off and let it cool. Take the lid off and let it cool. Okay, this is the final product. We had 3 pints, they're finished. If ever one of your seals don't pop for whatever reason, just put it in the refrigerator and use it yourself. But these turned out really well, I believe. And these are my resources. The ball preserving book, I've got 2 of them. And I like to use those for canning resources. All the information that you're ever going to need are in these 2 books. I'm also going to make jelly in the very near future, and we'll go through each and every step to properly can to make it easier for you. And thank you for coming along with me on this journey. This is Nancy with Amen Acres. Have a lovely week.
Do what you can where you're at. Guys, we thank you. Please subscribe. Please hit that like button down there. And we appreciate you. Thank you.